Welcome to Leveled Up Conversations, where we take conversations to the next level. I'm your host, Shane Simmons, and on today's show, we do have Calvin here. We're going to be talking about shooters, first-person shooters mainly. But Calvin, before we get into that, 30 seconds or less, you know the drill. Let us know who you are. Ready? Go.
Alright, my name is Calvin. I'm from the Bay Area, San Francisco, born and raised. I would say I'm in the middle, not quite a hardcore gamer, not quite a casual gamer. Mostly play sports games, a lot of first-person shooters, and a lot of platformers. Absolutely love the Uncharted series, big fan of the Call of Duty series, and pretty much buy every Madden and 2K every year, even though it's the same game. I like to waste money.
Confessions of First Step to Recovery. Time's up. You're the only person other than someone who cheated, whose name will not be mentioned, that didn't take the full 30 seconds. That was cool. That was cool. So, in our last episode, we talked a lot about next-gen consoles. One of the things about the console launch and the games that are launching with it is there's a lot of shooters. We get Call of Duty Ghosts, we get Battlefield 4, and we get Killzone Shadowfall.
Yep.
There's also Blacklight Retribution, which is free to play on PS4. I don't know if it's on Xbox.
I haven't heard anything about that. I just downloaded it. It was free.
Okay, yeah. I was like, what? Free game, totally. So, the question that we're going to be talking about today is what sets shooters apart? Really, why is it that we can have so many big shooters all going on at kind of the same time? Because generally, if a couple of games came out around the same time that are in the same genre, one is just the obvious winner. And we're not really seeing that. Like, I have friends that are like, Battlefield's totally the best. Other friends that are like, it's all about Call of Duty. Some friends that are like, it's all about Killzone. Haven't heard Blacklight Retribution yet, but we'll see. So, in your opinion, what sets shooters apart? What makes one better than the other?
You know, I think it really comes down to the feel of it. So, I mean, it's definitely a genre where there is definitely a lot of different companies kind of throwing their hat in the ring. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely, you know, variety is the spice of life. You know, it's good to be able to choose. I played a good portion of them right now, working my way through Battlefield 4. First time messing with the Battlefield series.
Okay.
Generally do buy COD every year. But I think it was time for a change. And I think the biggest thing I've noticed from the get-go is just the pacing of it all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I even referred to an earlier episode that you guys did where you guys were talking about the kill system in Brawl. Mm-hmm. And just how Super Smash Bros. Got that down to a T and how PlayStation All-Stars was just vastly different.
Yeah.
I think that's something you can apply to first-person shooters, definitely, when you look at it from the perspective of even in last generation with Halo. Mm-hmm. That was completely different where you had regenerating shields. You know, it was really kind of the trifecta. You had the melee, the grenades, and the gunplay. Yeah. Which, you know, that's kind of the formula for Halo, whereas, you know, Call of Duty introduced, and I believe, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, it really kind of brought to the mainstream the idea of kind of that melee one-kill knifing attack, and it made it really popular.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the big things that Call of Duty brought to it. I feel like I really agree with what you said about the feel of the game. They all have different speeds, and if we want to kind of line them out, Call of Duty, I feel like, is hands down the fastest shooter. Above that, I would put Battlefield. Above that, I would put Halo. Right next to Halo, I would put Killzone Shadowfall. And above that, like it's in the slowest, I would put the other Killzones up there. Yeah. I feel like the things that separate shooters are the health system. Do I have shields? Do I have regenerating shields? Is it a health number? Does the health regenerate? Do I have to pick up health packs? Can someone revive me? Like, those type of things play into it a lot. Or hitbox things. Like, is a headshot worth so much more than a body shot like we see in Halo? Or like in COD, do I just throw bullets at him and wherever it lands, as long as it lands? That's all that matters. Yeah. I'll pick up the thing that's like, oh, if you get a headshot, we give you a care package. And I'm like, well, hopefully I get lucky and just start shooting at someone. Yeah. So we have the killing system. I feel like the weapon and kind of the character customization system is another aspect of it.
That is a big part of it, and I mean, just diving into Battlefield. I've been playing it since the launch, and so there's just a lot of it where you can kind of dive in. There's a lot of deep customization. Mm-hmm. It's a little different than Call of Duty, where it's not you're just trying to unlock just by goals and everything, where it's just you level up and you kind of pick it up as you go, which is what I've seen from it so far. Mm-hmm. I think Call of Duty really popularized that, and Halo 3 kind of brought that on, where they gave you the ability to change your armor, your suits, things like that. And so
And you
each
could
game,
you could change the starting weapons a little,
yeah, a little bit. They started with loadouts was the big thing
Yeah.
that Call of Duty brought on.
but
with,
you couldn't start with like a sniper or a rocket launcher. or
yeah,
something.
exactly. The power weapons are a little different. Yeah, that's another thing that's different too. Like other, I would say, kind of classic first-person shooters, you'd be able to pick up power weapons on the map. You know, you kind of fight for position over those weapons.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we saw with kind of the godfather of all these shooters, which is GoldenEye, right?
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why I loved the older Halo so much, they took this away. Well, they didn't take it away, but they took a lot of it away in Reach. Was spawn times and finding weapons throughout the map. And not people spawn times, but weapon spawn times. Like keeping that in your head. All right, he just picked up rockets. When did he pick it up? What's the spawn time of it? All right, I got that. Plasma grenades here are gone. Last time I saw them coming around. Just, stuff like that. And I feel like that adds another level of intricacy to it. With Call of Duty, it was, I know exactly which gun I want. I know exactly which attachments I want. I'm going to spend all my squad points in the beginning on this gun and these attachments. With Battlefield, well, I have to go through all these levels until I can get that gun. With Halo, everyone starts with this. Here's where these weapons are. Have fun. With Killzone, these classes can get these weapons. You can kind of change it around, but that's what you're going to be with. And I do think that's one of the reasons why we can have so many kind of mainstream shooters is, yeah, they're first-person shooters, but at their core, they're that. But when you look, the second you take a step outside, it's a first-person shooter, you get all these levels of intricacy.
You keyed into one thing there that I think is really interesting is the fact that each game type will kind of cater to a different playing style. So if you really think about it, in Call of Duty, you can unlock, you do have to unlock your weapons by leveling up,
Right.
and you can prestige, of course, to kind of make it more difficult for you or just to keep the game interesting. But really what I found myself doing a lot is that if I found, that God gun, which in COD 4, it was the M16.
Yeah.
In Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, some would argue it was the FAMAS with the 3 burst.
I was an ACR man myself. No
The
kick, no sway
ACR,
all
the
day.
ACR was really good too. It just took a lot of bullets.
Yep. No kick, no sway though. Bullets went where
It
I
was.
told them to go.
Well, nothing kicked in Modern Warfare 2. The 50 cal kick and everything else was pretty much a
I'll
straight
give you
shoot.
that. I'll give you
So
that.
yeah, no, that's the thing is that once you kind of found your class, that was your playing style. I think it's interesting because in Halo, it's like you change it up a little bit because you're actually looking for something different. Dabbling in Battlefield for the first time now, what I'm seeing is that you kind of, when you level up, you get stronger weapons, which me and you were talking about that earlier.
I was really frustrated about it. The UMP 45 was kind of the gun
You're
that
right.
ruled Modern
No,
Warfare
you're
2.
right. It was the
Sorry, I just thought of it. Anyways, what we were talking about earlier about how when you level up in Battlefield, you get better guns. It's not you get different guns.
You
got
get better guns.
And that really frustrated me.
Yeah, and so that it kind of caters to, again, the point of that each shooter caters to a different playing style. And so
definitely.
Call of Duty, I think it's like if you really want to rush, you want to get in the spawns, you want to annoy the hell out of them, you can do that. If you want to sit back, you want to snipe, you want to play at a distance, you can do that. Whereas with Battlefield, because so many things are objective-based, you really kind of want to hone in on what class is going to give you an advantage in this game mode. So it's a little bit of different on the strategy side of things. And I've been playing Halo since the original one, so I am really excited for what they want to do in Halo 5.
Yeah.
I was a really big fan of what they did with Halo 4. I felt like they brought it back to kind of the roots of what, the essence of it. They boiled it down, and I think 343 got that really right.
Okay. One of the things that I really like about Halo is the fact that you can get shot and not die. Like, that was my favorite thing, was running down a hallway, getting hit from, like, the left side, and running to the other end of the door, and then being able to stop and be like, what am I gonna do? I can't do that in Call of Duty, and that's been what I've been playing a lot of. Yeah, I'll be running down the hallway, I'll get shot and be like, I'm dead. Well, now I've been playing it so much, I can get shot, drop to the ground, whip around, and shoot somebody back, but I couldn't do that in the beginning, and I can only do it sometimes now. But in Halo, there was so much of, you see someone running, I can't hit them in the head 4 times between here and there before they reach that hallway, so I'm not even going to pull the trigger and release my position. I'm instead going to try and go around them. I really like the strategy aspect of it, and I feel like Killzone was a happy medium between the two. And Battlefield's kind of fitting that place for me, where you get shot and you don't instantly die because it is a little bit slower paced, but you're still taking damage, kind of giving away your position. So I like the trade-offs that they have. They all have different ways of using radar, finding where people are, and places where you have to pick at.
Definitely. And I think with Halo 2, it was a lot of it. it's more true player skill, especially when you look at it from the ranking side of things, is that your rank went up and down as you won and lost.
That was something that was big, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because
that's
you don't get that anymore.
You don't see that in any game where it's like you just level up to level up. And now
you level up because you played more than the other guy,
Yeah.
not because you're better. That was the thing that frustrated the crap out of me and my friends. Is like Halo 3, like trying to get to level 50, like we'd get up to 45 and then have a bad day and go down to 40, and I'm like, I'm never playing it. Screw this game.
Yeah.
But I respect that about it. It had the finesse to be like, no, you're not good enough to be here. We're taking you back down.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that you introduce kind of a new medium of like, oh, I'm gonna boost to get to where I want, so I can have that emblem, and that's what Call of Duty really brought to it. It kind of devalued it a little bit and kind of watered down kind of the pool, where it's like, from the first, there goes Wolfie.
Wolfie down, Wolfie down. In COD, that takes 4 clips of the assault rifle to take down the German ship.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's a different rant for a different day.
But yeah, so I think it's just one of those things where you kind of look at it from true player skill. I think I give that up to Halo. They got that system down and they did it right for the most part. It reminds me of back in the day when I would play pool on Yahoo.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, that's what it brought me back to. And so that's what Halo kind of sticks with now. And it used to be with Call of Duty 4, back before like all this boosting lobbies and things like that were popular. If you saw somebody with a 10th prestige, you were like, wow, you have no life. But you're probably really good at the game too.
Yeah.
And you just don't get that anymore. And so it's not really a badge of honor. It's more of like, hey, I know how to hack the system.
Yeah. All right, Calvin, thanks for being on our conversation. If you guys could help us level up this conversation by leaving comments down below, follow us on Twitter so you know about all these new conversations we're going to be having. We're also going to update that for your one-stop shop of all your nerd news. Subscribe to the video. Help us out by leaving a comment, though. That's the big thing. And you have a wonderful night.
That's true.